Okay, let me ask you something. Do you think charisma is just something you're born with, or is it something you can actually build? Today, we're diving into this really cool idea called vibe coding, and it suggests that, yeah, you can totally engineer charisma.
And this quote right here, this is what gets me. For so many of us, especially if you're a bit of an introvert, you just kind of accept that some people have it and you don't, right? But what if that's completely wrong? What if charm is really just a skill, a set of mechanics you can learn? That very question kicked off a pretty fascinating personal experiment. And that brings us to the vibe coding experiment. The whole idea was to stop treating human connection like some kind of mysterious magic and start treating it like an engineering problem, something you can actually solve. So, what is vibe coding really? Well, think of it like a framework, a way to consciously, deliberately engineer a good social interaction. A good vibe. The goal here is to take all the guesswork and the anxiety out of connecting with other people. And that's really the big question, isn't it? Can you take something as slippery as charisma and actually measure it? And if you can measure it, can you systematically get better at it? That's what this whole experiment set out to discover. So the first tool they tried was something called the TALK framework. It's a simple little acronym. T is for having interesting topics ready to go. A is for asking questions. L is for levity, being lighthearted. And K is for simple kindness. I mean, on paper, that sounds like a pretty solid plan for a good conversation, right? Well, as you might have guessed, what works on paper doesn't always work in the real world. And that brings us to the next phase, what I like to call the art of awkward. And here it is. This was the big, fundamental mistake in the first attempt. The goal was to be the most interesting person there. It was all about having the coolest stories, the funniest punchlines. Basically, it was a one-man show. It was a performance. And the result? Oh, it was a complete train wreck. Just a long series of awkward, totally one-sided conversations. Instead of making connections, it just made things weird. Imagine someone just delivering a monologue at you when you're just trying to have a chat. Yeah, it was a total failure. But, failure is where you learn the good stuff. And this spectacular failure led directly to a huge breakthrough, the epiphany. Okay, look at this, because this is everything. On the left, you've got trying to be interesting. That feels like a performance, right? It's all about you, you, you. The goal is to impress people. Now look at the right, being interested. That feels like a conversation. It leads with questions about them. And the goal isn't to impress, it's to connect. It's just one tiny letter change, but it's a completely different universe. And it all came down to this one powerful realization. The secret to charisma wasn't about having a better script. It wasn't about being funnier. It was this. The goal isn't to be interesting. The goal is to be interested. So once that clicked, a much simpler, way more powerful tool came out of the ashes of that first failed experiment, and it's called the three-question loop. Now, this loop is almost laughably simple. Step 1, you ask a question. Step 2, and this is the absolute most important part, you genuinely listen. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk, you're actually listening. And then, step 3, you ask a follow-up question based on what they just told you. That's it. Then you just repeat. And what this little loop does is actually pretty profound. It acts like a gear, systematically shifting the entire focus of the conversation away from you and putting it right onto the other person. It frees you up from that panic of, oh my God, what do I say next? And it just lets you be there with them. Okay, so this brings us to the most important part, your turn to engineer. Because this isn't just some interesting story. It's a tool, a practical thing you can literally start using tonight. So why does something so simple work so incredibly well? Well, it taps into this really deep, fundamental human need we all have. We all want to feel seen and heard. When you truly listen to someone, you make them feel important, you make them feel valued, and that is such a powerful feeling. At the same time, it takes all the pressure off you to be on. And when those two things happen, a real, genuine connection just starts to build itself. So I'll just leave you with this one last thought to chew on. In a world where it feels like everyone is just shouting to be heard, what if the most charismatic, the most magnetic thing you could possibly do is just stop talking and start listening?